Talk about the turning lane coming off Condor at lunchtime.
I know. That's a bad one. Okay, we're good. We're now on cameras. All right, perfect. Okay, welcome to the Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting of February 4th, 2025. I can confirm that there is quorum, and I will hand the chair off to Councillor Tuckey. It is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson.
That's okay. We're
I'm
on a
off to a
rough
good
night
start.
today.
Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, please?
I move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Oh,
Second.
okay.
Any questions? Councillor Couverant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to add one item under F, other business. Yeah, on both of them. And GMWT tourism strategy.
Any problem with that, with the mover and seconder?
I'm open to that, yeah.
Anything further? All in favor? So passed. Mover for to accept the minutes from the Corporate Services Standing meeting, January 7th, 2025.
I move that the minutes of the Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting on January 7th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the minutes as presented? Councillor,
So are we waiting on the presentation of the museum to the other three organizations before we take any next step?
That's,
Sale?
as we discussed, yes, I haven't actually had I understood there's a meeting while I was away, I haven't had a chance to debrief. I believe the next steps we were gonna do is once all four councils, including ours, has been, had that presentation, then we would then form a working group of just leaders and administration to have the next conversation.
Thank you.
Mayor Ferguson.
Just to follow up with that, so yeah, the leadership did meet again with PLC. There's going to be an agreement in principle created, like, so we all agree in principle, but there's a whole list of things that we need to, as outcomes to happen. Firstly, you know, like assessments and environmental impacts, and like how's the building, what condition is, like a whole bunch of things before we would even entertain it further, and then they would follow up probably with the next steps of that.
My question has been answered.
SAO?
I would just question that I feel like if that needs to be a motion by each council to even enter into an agreement in principle, because this council left it out a bunch of decision-making before, so I think we may want to have a further discussion on that one, if we're gonna follow the regional and the council motion. Okay?
Just
It should still have a motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Let's see. We've all had opportunity to review our visions and values. See no declaration of financial interest. Moving on. No delegations. Director's report. Corporate Services Director's report for December. SAO. That's in, you're standing in.
I assume I am. Everybody's got a fairly short report there in front of you, so if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Councillor Couverant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one, I guess, good question for administration, if we have any timelines for the continuation of our budget discussions.
SAO.
As we discussed in last one, once we've gone through our strategic planning and had a chance to review the organizational review, we will do our presentation next week with the revised budget, so informed through our strategic planning.
Do we really spend $50,000 a month on power? For a bad word, power at that?
I think there's an additional cost for Christmas, maybe,
Oh, 50,000.
Mayor Ferguson.
Yes, additional cost, but it was only like, wasn't it $16,000 for the Christmas lights on the poles? I'm pretty sure that was around the $16,000 mark.
Never get this completion.
Don't power corps, the municipalities, do it for free? The community spirit, given all the brownouts and power outages.
I say,
Thank you, Councillor Tuckey, for acknowledging me, for putting my hand up before I spoke out of turn. Did Councillor Karsak have a question regarding the power charge?
No, I was curious as if that's actually how much we spend per month.
Absolutely, that
And
is,
that was answered.
yes, that is our normal monthly bill, between $40,000 and $50,000 is our normal monthly cost for power. But back to the director's report, was there any further questions on the director's report?
none? All in favor of the director's report?
I think it's just
There wasn't, sorry.
It's just information, yeah, we're just there, question it, read it, get informed.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next is accounts payable report.
Oh,
I think,
That's what
it's all of them, I think.
no, that's what I figured.
Okay.
I wasn't sure.
No, there are three different
Are
parts.
there
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
there's ABC, yeah.
Any questions on accounts payable? I think it wants to be questions.
I think this is when I should have asked that. Do we really spend $50,000? Okay. I thought it was all together.
I like the new format, it's easier to read.
Pass that
It is.
Councilor Beno.
This letter from Kentucky, is that part of the correspondence?
It's not a part of what we're talking about right now, which is the accounts payable. Correspondence is next. Are there any questions on the accounts payable report? Seeing none, moving on to correspondence. Councilor Beno.
How long is the pool going to be
SAO?
I haven't, if I remember correctly, the briefing note was till April. We're expecting our, we've got parts on back order to affect the repairs from all the brownouts that happened that ended up shutting us down. So if I remember correctly, the briefing note said April 25th was when it was due.
Thank you, SAO. Councilor Cougar.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Sort of related to the pool closure is the brownouts and all of that. I believe a recent letter from the Power Corporation indicated that they were prepared to consider reimbursement of costs related that can be directly attributed to that. And I am assuming that the town will definitely be filing a claim. And I'm just wondering, since there's been such a disruption to our citizens through the closure of one of our critical assets, are we going to be seeking additional compensation from the Power Corporation? My main thought is due to a loss of revenue. Like, here we are scrambling to try and generate funds anywhere possible, and all of a sudden we lost this revenue, source of revenue generation. It impacts where we're having to reimburse memberships and things like this. So there's a whole bunch of additional costs associated with the pool closure, both financial costs and inconveniences and lifestyle costs. Are we or is administration entertaining some way of seeking compensation for that aspect as well?
Yes, Ann?
I had two questions, if I may, just, when I read the letter that we received from NTPC, they've quoted a section of their terms and conditions in regards to recovery of costs, the very last of that one. So I haven't seen any correspondence where they said that they were going to reimburse. Has there been? And the second part, just to answer, yes, we've been tabulating all costs associated, including HR costs, lost revenue. We have been tabulating as we go.
Mayor Ferguson?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think there's a page missing in this letter from the response from NTPC, because there was a paragraph or two in there where it said specifically how our claims, due to the ongoing situation in our brownouts, customers can put a claim against their insurance adjuster or an insurance claim, and as long as you can show them that time. So that I'm assuming, you have brownout occurred, boom, you had to buy a free fridge the next day. Or for us specifically at the town, we can, they have the risk, like every time that it occurred, the work order went in, the what had to be fixed, the belt had been gone, the air exchanger, they have all of that information. They've been collecting it in hopes that something like this could happen for us. So I know that we as a town have kept that, but it's also for the community too. All customers, if you can prove that you suffered damages because of this since June of last year. So, because that's when it kind of started, and then it was effectively more consistent, and then people, stoves went, fridges went, other things in your home went, you can put it in against a claim at NTPC. So I'm sure they're going to pull that out, and we're definitely missing a page in this letter from them where it had that on there. But I emailed it. Everyone had a copy of that letter emailed to your question.
We are missing that. I found the email.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Right
we are
on.
missing a page.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Councilor Babe?
I'm just wondering if it's possible to maybe share with the public, because I think a lot of people don't realize that this is a possibility, or just even that, I'm hearing a lot of people have problems with furnaces, with stoves, with fridges that myself have had to replace, right? So it is pretty significant cost to a lot of people, and not realizing that there may be a potential for some cost recovery on that. So I don't know if the town could broadcast or the public announcement to say you can reach out to NTPC, or this is the process to get things maybe covered.
Mayor Ferguson?
For sure, I'll follow up with my contacts, see what they have a media clip that they could send us that I could share on their behalf, because it's an NTPC initiative, right?
Right.
Yes, Ann? I didn't know who's big first.
I just say right now that I have the whole letter in front of me, that they will follow up with more information about this process within the next couple of weeks. So we'll track that, and when we get that, then we can definitely look at a communication and share that out publicly.
Councilor Bynum?
That there's a lot of people who lost TVs. Their TVs just wouldn't come back on from these brownouts. And they don't know about this, and I'm sure they don't know how to go about claiming for that as well. I don't know, I just think that NTPC needs to give everybody a nice cut of their electricity bills across the board. What I think.
I think I'd rather go for a replacement of the TV. So when you said
Replacement of furnace.
that you were going to sell
There,
it,
sure, I think, administration said that they're
and
gonna.
how ordered, please?
Administration said that they, sorry. Administration said that they're gonna follow up with the letter that we got here, because they were gonna get back to us in 2 weeks, and we will definitely forward that out as a communication PSA for people, so that they know how to submit their claim, where to submit the claim, and whether, if there's any kind of limitation to that. So we'll definitely put that out there.
Councilor Carrasco.
Even though NTPC says they're gonna put it out there, we should duplicate the communication in our town newsletter and other ways, just to make sure.
Councillor Cox.
Oh,
Councilor Cox.
Thanks. So, yeah, hopefully you can hear me okay. So the other issue, I sent an email about it, but the other issue I had with that letter is that they talk about how trees on power lines are uncontrollable. I take real issue with that, and I think we should maybe have an official counter to that, because we've seen in the states in California where it's clearly proven in courts, I mean, different system, but the onus is on the power corp to maintain the trees around their power lines, and it's not only a huge issue in terms of power reliability, but in terms of fire risk. And we got to make sure that the onus stays on the power corp for that. I don't know if you guys remember years ago, we had lots of power issues with trees on lines, and then finally the Davey Tree guys came in under NTPC contract, and our power was substantially better for a few years. And it's been declining ever since. Because they need steady maintenance. I mean, I'm sure they can have a crew going year round, just maintaining those lines. So I'd like to see some kind of official counter to that to try and hold them accountable.
Thank you, so noted. Any further discussion? Mayor Ferguson.
in regards to the letter, we were redrafting a letter for NTPC. I think that Councillor Corbett was going to give a different, because some of the questions had been asked and answered from the mayor's office regarding with this letter. So maybe we can include that information that Councillor Cox had just mentioned about trees and, you know, the maintenance of their lines and et cetera, to be added into that letter that we're still working on for NTPC. Councillor Corbett?
So,
Councillor Courette.
yes, so I take it from Mayor Ferguson that you would like me to continue with the drafting of that.
Sure.
I will have to try and get it in the next week. Fairly busy for the rest of this week, but I will try and have something as soon as possible, and I will incorporate the sort of tree growth or infringements on outlying space.
Thank you, Councillor Courette. Any further discussion for correspondence? Seeing none, we'll move on. You have in your package a briefing note from NAC for an annual donation request.
I move that council formally approve the amount of $5,000 as a donation to the Northern Arts and Culture Center.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Councillor Carrasco.
I have difficulty with that, Carrasco. I have difficulty with that in the sense that we're a municipal organization. We should be supporting municipal things like our own local museum and things like that we support. But this is a territory-wide kind of thing that then provides services to all the other communities as well as the capital. So, like, is it really our place as a municipality to be supporting something that goes beyond our jurisdiction? So I'm a little iffy on this one.
SAO. Very nice.
This is something that, is an annual donation that's actually budgeted in, like the museum, like, I lost, what's the festival we have?
Fire Week Festival.
Fire Week Festival.
Coach Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Prospect?
Frolics.
Frolics, thank you. Like Frolics, and it's actually a regular line that has been, is generally a part of our budget that has been sort of approved on an annual basis. It's not so much a request as that without an approved budget, we're doing it this way, but it's generally is just a part of our annual budget.
Councillor Karashak.
Well, just because it's a line item doesn't mean it's appropriate.
Councillor Bickey.
So I think from watching with the last time they presented to council, they talked specifically about this request, and that this money was directly related to the benefits and the work they do in the town. of
Okay, so
Lewiston.
they do a
So,
parallel.
yeah, exactly. So there's a lot more going into the community than going out, right? And this helps make sure that all the activities they're doing here at Fort Smith can happen. So I think that from an art standpoint, there's a return on investment for this $5,000.
Mayor Ferguson.
Thanks. I'll just, yeah, so when they presented to council last year, years prior to this, it's really to get arts into our community that wouldn't otherwise be accessible, and it's not for a high cost. Like, not coming in charging $100 a ticket, it's like $20. And if you don't have, and they'd let you come in if you couldn't afford it. And they bring in world-class performers. Like, we've had, not we, but I've gone to these and watched them, and they were like very good performers. I would highly recommend that. And you wouldn't have exposure to these things otherwise in these small community settings. And I think not just that, so exposure for our community, but they also do, you know, it costs money. So they're hiring people to do things when they're here, they're eating here. There's a little bit of an economic boom every time they have a production come into our community for that weekend or for whatever they're doing. So it does give some return directly to our community in some small economic return, but big arts and culture exposure that we wouldn't have had exposure to before.
Councillor Couperin.
Thank you. And further to what Councillor or Mayor Ferguson said, I think the biggest contribution they make to our community is every group that comes in, and they come in about every second or third month. They do a full presentation or commitment at the schools with the kids and things like that. So they're also introducing our youth to a different type of culture over and beyond what they see on their phones every day, things like that. So yes, it is money going out, but what we get in return, I think, is, as a lot of the ads say, it's priceless.
Any further, just Councillor Karasuk.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that we were, in Adams, or they're getting more than we give. So if, you know, we are receiving more than 5,000 in benefits or 5,000, then I don't have an issue with it. I wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Councillor Couperin.
Well, I can't let the opportunity go by. We're talking donations here again, and I've always been, since 2018, saying we really need to have a clear and precise or clear and definitive policy on what our donations and contributions policy is. It's one of those ones that, yes, we're working on. It's 2025. Please, let's work on it. Do it in 2025. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
The deputy mayor had his hand up.
I just wanted to say that, I just wanted to echo what everybody else has said about, I've done a number of their performances. They do give a lot back to the community, and for $5,000, I think we get very good value for money.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Moving on. Other business, I'm gonna turn this over to you, Councilor Rick.
Oh, you better read that there. No, sorry, Mr. Chair. I don't know why we have to bring this up. I know we're addressing it through letters to the Minister for ITI and to the Premier, but again, we see through, kudos to Cabinet Radio for reporting things like this, that the GNWT is in the process of doing consultations territorial-wide for their 2030 tourism strategy. They're going to Newlyn, Norman Wells, Port Simpson, Betchico, Butzoke, Hay River. That's where they're going. They friggin' forgot Fort Smith again. The last time they did their 2025 tourism strategy back in 2018, 2019, Fort Smith was not on that list. We said, that's not acceptable. And he said, oh, sorry, it was an oversight. That will never happen again. The next strategy comes around, and here we are. We're having to say, hey, we're out here. Those blockheads in Yellowknife just don't seem to realize that Fort Smith is part of the NWT. Maybe we're too close to the border for them or something. I don't know. We have some of the best tourism attractors in the Northwest Territories. Wood Buffalo National Park, Slave River. Probably we could probably easily call ourselves the festival capital of the NWT outside of Yellowknife and not be challenged on the quality and the number of festivals we do. And here we are having to tell those blockheads in Yellowknife that we are a community. We deserve to be consulted on tourism stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm not going to say much more other than I'm glad to see that it's out there on Facebook. Thank you, Mayor Ferguson, for bringing it up on there. People are commenting on it. And I still think the mayor should also write a letter. I know there's a request to the Thatcher Leadership Council to put out a letter, which they probably will. But I think each and every community government, Town of Fort Smith, Salt River, Smith Landing, Fort Smith Maid should also write letters over and above. Let's inundate them with bringing letters this time and comments and things like that. Every person should be writing ministers saying, Fort Smith is part of the NWT. We're a significant part of the NWT. Please respect that and give us the appropriate level of respect that we deserve.
Very well said. Councilor Benwell.
Could we make it a motion that Mayor writes a letter to this group and insist that we get put on that?
Motion would be welcome. Someone would like to make the motion.
I move that Mayor Ferguson writes a letter to the GNWT tourism strategy that Fort Smith gets put on their list of where they're going to be. I don't know how you can word it better.
Okay.
They put on the concept list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm moving, or seconded, I should say.
Yeah.
Discussion, I think we've had a discussion. All in favor? So passed.
I will gladly write a letter because I was very mad when I saw that. I did write to TLC and I wrote them my thoughts about it as well. And I even fact checked to make sure that I was actually correct, but we didn't have any consultation. We had consultation with the Northern Sky Corridor in November where Destination Canada had come up. But that was a completely separate initiative in regards to trying to develop strategies to get folks to road travel into the north and create lines for people with campers and those sorts of things. Completely separate, had nothing to do with GNWT's actual strategy for 2023. And so I wanted to make sure that that wasn't, maybe they just did us first, look at us. No, they just ignored us completely, so.
Any further discussion? Motion.
We motioned and passed and then we were just talking, so we're good.
Without being right.
Just one of those. Oh, I don't. Okay. Can I have a motion to excuse councilors from the corporate services spending committee?
I move that Councillor Heaton be excused from the Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting of February 4th, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor? So passed. Date of the next Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting will be on March 4th, 2025. Can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
I'll move that we adjourn at 7:25 p.m.
So you're 24?
I'll second it.
We have to put to the second now.
No, I was,
All in favor? So carried.